Welcome to Discovering True Health, where our goal is to provide you with cutting-edge health information through research, interviews with experts, and personal journeys to true health. Our message is a message of hope and healing, and our mission is to bring you on a journey to discovering true health, to not only find wellness, but to thrive. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discovering True Health, your weekly deep dive into health and wellness. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, please like and share. You can also check out additional information on our website. And if you have any questions, have a health journey you'd like to share, or a topic you'd love to learn more about, you can contact us on our Instagram or Facebook. We check those regularly, and we'd love to hear from you. All those links are below. And just a reminder, I'm not your doctor, so please don't take this as medical advice. If you have specific questions about your specific healthcare, please feel free to reach out to your practitioner. All right, so today we have Vickie Fang on with us today as our guest, and she is what they're calling a COVID long hauler like myself, also known as post-COVID syndrome. She's also part of the COVID long hauler support group that I'm part of that has helped us all so much. So thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your journey with all of us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So today we're going to be talking about Vickie's journey along with, her COVID experience and her long hauler symptoms, as well as how she's really brought some great consciousness to it and has come up with a set of rules that have really helped her manage her long hauler symptoms. And she's also been a patient at the George Washington University Long Haulers Clinic. So she's going to be sharing with us what kind of testing and therapies that have helped her and what she's learned from the doctors there. All right, so let's get into it. So let's start from the beginning. When did you contract COVID? How severe was it? What type of symptoms did you have?
I contracted it mid-March of 2020, so over a year ago. My son was in Europe, and he came home just as the borders were closing. And at the time, the CDC was telling us not to wear masks, so I didn't. So I got it.
Wow.
And my symptoms were not severe. I had one day of feeling like I had the flu, that kind of achy, chills sensation. Then after that, I had bizarre sleep disturbances, a great deal of fatigue, a loss of appetite, and a cough. And my coughing lasted about 3 weeks.
Wow.
And we had put my husband in the back of the house in quarantine because he's asthmatic. He was the one we were careful about. And I remember I had to wait 3 days after the last symptom to let him out. And he came out, and I didn't infect him.
That is great.
But then I thought, I've been sick, and so it's taking me a while to recover and feel well. But then I just didn't recover my energy, and the sleeping was so strange.
So you were basically, you had it mild. You didn't have a fever. You had the cough. You had major fatigue. You had about one really bad day, you said?
Yes.
And Ben, did you take any medication or supplements at all through it all?
Nothing. Nothing. And I did talk to my doctor. My son was on a different healthcare plan. He was able to get access to testing. And when he tested positive, I sent a note to my doctor, and he was on the phone with me. I remember it was a Sunday, and he was asking my symptoms, knew my son tested positive. And he said, "Yeah, you've got it." And you'll be fine. Rest, you'll be fine. It was proven that I had COVID a month or so later when the antibody tests were available, and I did take that to confirm.
Got it. Okay, so it was about 3 weeks before you let your husband around you, where you felt like you were kind of beyond it. Yeah. And you kind of moved on to the next phase of not feeling like you were extremely ill, but this, certain things and symptoms and issues have continued to present day. So tell us your journey of being a long hauler. I know it's a progression from my experience. So talk us through your experience and symptoms.
Well, it was more severe last summer than it is now. So there has been some improvement. I had some minor hair loss over the summer. My doctor told me to go off my medications to see if that helped. I was on a very low dose blood pressure medication and one for osteoporosis. And my blood pressure just stayed low for a number of months. And then as I stopped, about the same time I stopped losing my hair, my blood pressure started going back up. So I went back on the pill. And I was able to get restorative sleep, but the feeling of being well would only last for a few hours. And then I would be very tired again. And I also wasn't able to fall asleep. And I've never had problems with insomnia in my life. And this was just weird. My body doesn't know the difference between day and night. My body gets more and more tired, but it can't fall asleep. Sometimes I didn't go to bed because it was just so miserable to lie in bed for hours, not able to fall asleep. So I contacted a psychiatrist who specialized in people with chronic diseases. And he didn't know about this, but that was sort of okay because he was willing to listen. And as soon as I told him I couldn't sleep, he said, you have to sleep. Sleep is foundational. And he was absolutely right. And he gave me, and he knew I was very conservative about medication, but he gave me some very, very mild medications, hydroxyzine. My regular doctor said it was about like taking a Benadryl. And it
kind of like an antihistamine sort of thing.
Yeah, he said in intensity, it was about like that.
Okay.
And the medication, the dosage I was taking was recommended for children under 6. So it helped a little bit, but it took me almost a year to be able to fall asleep at night and wake up after 6 or 7 or 8 hours sleep. And I had to be very, very rigorous. I set a bedtime. 2 hours before that bedtime, I was in bed, and I might be on a screen, but it was on that nighttime setting so that you don't have the strange computer light, nothing moving, nothing bothering me. And I would try to sleep for an hour, and then I would let myself do something else if an hour had gone by and nothing had happened. But it took a very long time. But once I could do that, my life improved quite a bit. And I didn't have full energy, but I had much better energy. And I got all excited, and I thought, well, I'm basically well again now. And I started trying to make up for lost time and do a lot of things. And I went to see my GP for a routine checkup. And I said, I know I still have it. And in fact, if I exercise too hard, which is not much exercise at all, I get neuropathy. I get a new symptom. And he was just appalled and then told me I had to go see a neurologist. But I said, but I'm so much better. I've had an energy breakthrough. I'm really happy. Well, the next day I crashed, and I literally crashed. I forgot that when you're in a car and you put it in reverse, you should look in the rearview mirror first.
Oh no.
I've been driving over 45 years. I've never forgotten that before. Unfortunately, I only hit a car and not a pedestrian.
Wow.
But I was just still, my body was still going and my brain was turning off.
Yeah.
And
I experienced that as well. Sudden, like moments of confusion. All of a sudden you're like, wait, what was I doing? It's very.
Yeah. I just couldn't, respond. And then I went home and slept for about 5 days. Not nonstop, but 5 days of just barely moving.
Wow.
Um,
And how long ago was that? Was that in the
That
summer?
was at the end of April of this
Okay.
year.
Okay. So it was over a year after you contracted
Yeah.
COVID. And it
Yeah.
also sounds like you have some underlying, health conditions as well, which is interesting because you got it so mildly, even though you had underlying health conditions.
Well, true, but I'm not sure that osteoporosis, I mean, everything seems to affect it, but I haven't heard anything about osteoporosis before.
Right.
And the high blood pressure was not very high. I mean, it was in the systolic was in the 130s.
Okay.
And then it was controlled to be around, 100. So, then I realized I had to back off a little bit and start rethinking. But since then, I've just been learning there are more and more things that sap my energy without my realizing it. I mean, this is the thing about my condition, that I have a very narrow window of energy, and I don't know when I've gone past it. My body doesn't send me the normal signals if you're getting tired. And that is so strange to me.
I have
So,
experienced exactly the same thing.
yeah,
It's like all of a sudden, like, it's like you go do one errand and then you're just like, or the next day you'll just feel ill for like the next day or two.
yeah, the next
Yeah.
day. And then you have to think what caused this and think back. Yeah. So I've come up with a list of things, and a number of them are
Yes.
obvious things that
Tell us your
stress
list.
you. Okay.
So this is,
Uh,
she's come up with a list of rules that have really helped her mitigate all these,
yeah.
symptoms. And she's, become conscious. Okay, what am I, you've really kind of started thinking about what's affecting you, what's not, and you have this some strategy here. So yeah, tell
Yes. Unfortunately, the list is still growing.
us.
But
I understand.
a lot of them are sort of obvious things, except that you wouldn't have never had to deal with them before, like being under stress. Well, everybody knows that's tiring, but don't normally think, if you're not feeling overwhelmed, if you're just thinking this is difficult, you don't think, well, I need to go take a nap. I need to curtail my other activities. But in a stressful situation, yes, I do. Being out in the heat for more than 30 or 45 minutes, I should cool down, get something to drink. Long errands, okay, maybe one a day, but not two. The same with doing fun things like going to a museum. That has to be kind of limited. If I wake up and I may be feeling fine, but I've only had 6 or 7 hours sleep, I schedule a nap, and I'm just really fortunate that I can do that. And I'll go lie down. I think, well, I'll listen to an audio book. I don't think I'm going to fall asleep, and I'll just pass out because my body is really tired. I didn't know that. I can't drink anymore. That's a
I
bummer.
can't either. I love my red wine, but
Oh yeah, it's
yeah,
scotch for me.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is great.
yeah, I have a drink. It feels normal, feels fine. I'm talking one drink,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
then the next day, I'm so tired.
Yep.
Um, and another one. This is something somebody taught me. I had got some badminton rackets with my husband, and we played about a net, mostly like saying, oh, missed it, and kind of walking over and picking up the shuttlecock. I mean, really minor activity for about 20 minutes. And I was feeling too tired the next day. And I was told to try to keep my um, heartbeat under 130. And of
Oh,
course, in the state that I'm in now, gets up over 130 much more easily than it would before. So that, I think that is a good number. And I have one of those little monitors you can buy for like $13, $14 on Amazon or anywhere. And,
very important to have for us.
yeah.
Oxygen and the heart rate.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I keep that. And that's about it for now. But I feel like the list will probably grow as I discover more things. Interestingly, I had earlier cut back on exercise because it gave me neuropathy, meaning that both my feet would start tingling, not during the exercise. Of course, it's never during the time you're stressing your body, but like at night, and I'd start waking up in the middle of the night. And a neurologist told me that that's okay. It wasn't going to damage my nerves. I could keep exercising, but so far I've kept
Like, do I want to stay awake all night with tingly feet or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, he's a neurologist. I'll believe him about the nerves, but if it's a sign that I've overstressed my body, that means other bad things are going to happen, and so I
Right.
avoid it.
Well, and this is why I feel like our being part of the support group that we're in on Facebook is so important, because everything you shared, it's like, we're all, people are sharing, and you feel like you're the only person experience these things and like what's going on with my body and all these strange things are happening. And then somebody else will post, or everything you said, like about going out in the sun, like I've had the same, I'll try to get my vitamin D and go lay out, and where I live, it's, in the 90s. And after 10 minutes, I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack and pass out.
Oh,
And it's like, that's scary. I'm like,
yeah.
what's happening? So it's interesting now just hearing you saying you're having issues of being in the heat too long and, out as well, because, and that's why, it's the support group is so great. It's like, A, it helps you feel like, okay, you're not alone. Like a lot of people are going through these things, and B, we're all sharing information and what's helped us. And, like this, this is happening and this is what's helps, so it's been really great. And also there's been some exciting progress for our long haulers community. There are numerous doctors all over the country now that are doing amazing studies and trying to find ways to test and treat us long haulers. So there are now long hauler clinics popping up all over the country. And you have been a patient at the George Washington University Long Haulers Clinic. So can you share with us a bit about, what kind of testing and therapies they've done for you? What's helped? What have you learned from the doctors there?
Yes. Now I have not had as many symptoms and as dramatic symptoms as some people, so I've probably gotten less attention because of that. But I did spend time with two neurologists. They did a lot of blood testing on me. I know one thing they looked at was despite the fact that my B vitamin level looked okay, it might not really be okay for me. And so they did a more elaborate test on that. But it was okay for me. And then they did the normal, tap every part of my body and talk to me kind of exam. But on the whole, they thought I was okay neurologically to the extent they could deal with it. I will say that this is definitely a neurological deficit. My inability to sleep, to regulate my, being asleep and being awake. It's definitely neurological, and they agreed with that. But so really, all they said was go ahead and exercise, and we'll give you gabapentin. But the thing that has helped me is that I've begun in their physical therapy, and I'm extremely weak. Big surprise, a woman in her 60s who spent a year and a half lying on the sofa.
The atrophy, I know.
Yes.
Hard. It's hard to bounce back from that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the physical therapists have been wonderful, been so careful evaluating me and finding out, and just checking, can you do this little thing? How did you sleep the next night? Did you have any symptoms? Okay, we'll move it up a little bit. And they were the ones who told me about keeping my heart rate under 130. And I'm feeling very good about the physical therapy. I don't think it has made me more tired. It's a little hard to say because I got a cold, and that's definitely made me tired, and there's some overlap. And I have been able to increase the difficulty of the exercises, so I know I'm gaining strength. I'm not going to, go into my son's story because that's his, but I will say he was a weightlifter, and he lifted weights. He pantomime lifting weights, going from hundreds of pounds to zero, just wanting to make sure his body still remembered the movements and the postures. And now he's up to, he got a personal best on one of his movements. I don't know what they are. So his physical strength is back, but the energy, lags behind the physical strength. At least that was his experience, and I think it's going to be mine too.
And what types of physical therapy exercises are you doing? Is it mostly like strength training to build your strength back up and get your muscles, kind of stronger, building muscle mass, or is it cardio, or is it a combination?
It is strength training, and physical therapists believe that will increase my energy level, and I hope they're right.
Got it. Okay.
Then I started adding walking, and I started at 5,000 steps a day, and I moved it up to 6,000, and that has seemed fine. But I break it up, and I do some of the walking like just around the house with Netflix on, walking back and forth. So it's easy walking.
Right. But it's something.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're progressing a little. Do you have any final words to say to any of the long haulers out there who may be going through all of this?
Yeah, I have one thing. A number of people have said that their doctors were very unresponsive or sort of denied that exists. That is ridiculous. My GP knew before I did. I was telling him I was tired, and he was going, "Oh no, this is terrible. This can be chronic." I mean, he knew right off. And for any doctor not to know now is absurd, and they should just go find a better doctor.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's been a tough and frustrating process for all of us, especially with that, the doctors not acknowledging it because we're kind of the first ones and feeling so unwell. But you really have been one of the pioneers in all this, really striving to find a way to heal. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us. And, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I hope a lot of people, watch your program and you're able to spread a lot of good information.
Yeah, I mean, that's really my intention. I mean, I feel like, what I went through has to be a reason for it. So let's try to help others with everything we've learned, right? So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, if you like this video, please like and share it with others. This information could really help someone you know, and stay tuned for the next episode of Discovering True Health.